Well, people are arriving at the mall now for a speech by the president that will be around 6:30 p.m. local time, still over 6 hours to go. The president then, in the end, getting more or less exactly what he wanted, because you might remember when he was back in Paris, where you are, that was in 2017. He first got the idea to have a military parade. He wanted to see military machinery going down Pennsylvania Avenue. That, in the end, is not happening here in the U.S. Capitol. The machinery on the ground will be stationary. There will be tanks at the Lincoln Memorial right next to the president when he gives his speech later tonight. The real military parade, though, will be in the air, maybe because that is where the local jurisdiction, the Democratic mayor of the city of Washington, D.C., was essentially not able to stop this. There will be fighter jets in the skies over the National Mall, Air Force One, Marine One, and other planes also expected. So this will be quite spectacular. But of course, as you said, this has not been prone from criticism from Democrats. Of course, the people arriving on the National Mall right now, among them will be those who usually go down to the National Mall on a 4th of July, on Independence Day. And then there are others who feel like they were called there by the president because he has been making renewed calls again today on Twitter. The White House has been doing the same. They want Donald Trump supporters to be out en masse for these festivities here later tonight.
Hey, a word on the weather, Philip, because we're hearing there might be a thunderstorm?
Yeah, there might be some trouble up ahead, and we don't know right now how that might impact things, but it might rain literally on the president's parade, because we do have a weather forecast of heavy rain, of thunderstorms. Of course, that's the kind of thing that can keep planes grounded and can keep fireworks from essentially not happening. So there might be some bad news in store for those who are already down on the National Mall right now, and indeed for the president, who really wants this military parade to happen.
All right, a military parade with planes in the air, fireworks. Hey, Philip, how much is this going to cost?
Well, a lot, presumably, but we don't have the exact figure. The White House, when asked about this, refers to the Pentagon, to the Defense Department, which does not provide a reply. So all we have at this moment is some reporting from the Washington Post that says that $2.5 million of money from the Interior Department will actually be used to finance part of the festivities on the mall. Now, the Interior Department, what they are responsible for more than anything are the national parks, the upkeep of the national parks, meaning that this is money coming from people who pay to get entrance into those national parks, many of whom probably won't necessarily agree with that money being used for a military parade. This is a very expensive undertaking. Despite what the president has said on Twitter is not an expensive one. He says that the planes are already in place, that they already belong to the United States, and all that he has to use, all that has to be paid for is the fuel. But remember that a lot of these planes are coming from a long, long way away. They are not based in the Washington area. This is a very expensive undertaking by the president, and it has had a lot of people questioning whether this is really an event organized by the government. Is it something organized by the campaign? Is it then something that should be financed by the campaign? Because when you look later tonight at who will be in those front rows of seats watching the president give his speech, well, those are mainly Republican donors and members of Donald Trump's family, members of the military, those who were invited by the president and by Donald Trump's campaign. So it's not exactly a bipartisan event, this one.
And just to remind our viewers, Philip, because as we speak, we're looking at those live images from the Washington Mall, the area between the Washington Monument and the Capitol. These types of festivities, they're unprecedented for the United States on its national holiday.
Yeah, because Independence Day tends to be a moment to leave your politics aside, essentially. It is a moment of celebration for the country and a moment when you try to somehow come together. That clearly has not been the case this time around because of what's been organized on the National Mall. What we will see there again are the divisions that currently exist here in the United States, because there are those who I've spoken to who would normally have gone to the festivities, to the fireworks display later tonight, but because of Donald Trump inserting himself into those festivities have actually decided to stay home out of protest. So you will see the two sides of the political divide this time around, and that's precisely what really should not be happening on a 4th of July. This is a moment not for a political speech, at least traditionally. And that is why there is that fear that the president will politicize the 4th of July, the Independence Day celebrations here in Washington, and indeed possibly also throughout the country.